What's up? This is Jrod, and you're listening and watching The Sellouts. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and I decided I was going to go for a ride, do a little filming, and talk about my first demo day that I ever got to do with the Triumph truck that came to a local dealership. It was an absolute blast. I filled out all the forms, did all the who's he, what's it's, and how are you, and then they gave me a little card, and now I can do it anytime I see a truck anywhere. I can just take my card up, say I want to ride this one, and as long as I sign the waiver, good to go. So the experience itself, as far as like paperwork and such, was very easy and you know, legalese stuff. To say, hey, do you know you're doing a very dangerous thing that could possibly get you hurt? And I said, absolutely I do, and I'm here for it, and here is my legal right to sue you. Throw it away. But there were a lot of cool bikes, and I don't know what you want me to do. It was super fun, and all of them looked so shiny and pretty. I can't keep my legal rights when it comes down to something like that. I got to ride 4 motorcycles, and I kind of just want to do a brief, quick overview of each one and talk about a couple things I liked, a couple things I didn't like about each one, and ultimately decide if that would be something I replace this Bonneville with ever, because that's my standard of comparison right now, or if it were something that I could make as a, additional motorcycle in the old garage that I don't have. So started with the first one I walked up to was the Speed 400. That's the newest bike. Triumph is obviously trying to push it. It's a value bike. They made it with an Indian company called Bajaj. From all the reports I've seen and heard on YouTube, it's a pretty solid motorcycle. I got on this bike immediately because it was the most available, let's say. A lot of the guys there were, not really interested in 400cc bikes. They wanted the street triple and so on. So I got a hold of this one first because I thought, this is my first demo day. I didn't know what to expect. That's a fun little bike. I enjoyed it immensely. A couple things I liked was the absolute maneuverability of this bike. It's got a little bit wider handlebars. It is light as an absolute feather. Absolutely no difficulty wheeling that bad boy around. It was super light and wonderful, and I really liked that part of it. Yeah, the maneuverability, the weight, just perfection. Couple things I didn't like. It's very buzzy, being a 400cc. I guess I've never ridden that small of a capacity motorcycle since I was a kid on dirt bikes, but getting that up to highway speeds, it definitely puts some buzz through the old foot pegs especially. The handlebars wasn't that bad, but after the 20-minute unintentionally half-hour ride I took with it, it was very, very buzzy through the foot pegs, which, don't get me wrong, if you were doing something like that in town or just for short rides, no problem at all. It would be an absolute joy. But for any kind of distance riding, which, I don't know, maybe that's your choice for a distance motorcycle, I don't know if I would get behind something like that if you were trying to tour it. I don't know. You do you. But for myself, I think that's a pass on replacing the old T120. As a second bike, I could see it. I mean, I could see it someday. Oh shit, deer. For just something to zip around town. For those that know, I think I've mentioned it before, I live in the outskirts of Cincinnati. So to zip around the city, it would be a really great bike for something like that. Getting it out on the highways, not so much. I'd rather take the old Bonnie here. I think that would be a better use of my resources. But that mythical day where all of you subscribe and like and give me ad money for your very, very easy, doable job, that even children can do of clicking the like button and subscribing and all that, I could buy one of those. Yeah, good bike, a lot of fun. I don't know if it's worth the obscene levels of hype that everyone has given it, because I watch a lot of motorcycle YouTube, and it's, for what it is though, for the $5,000 price tag, that's a steal. That's a very well done bike for $5,000. Now, that being said, I did have a fun little experience on the particular demo bike that I had, which was very fun. I got out on their path to their demo path that you know, they lay out in the beforehand, and I found, to my surprise, there were no back brakes, so that was a joy. I mean, the front brakes were fine. Good brakes, by the way. I didn't have any problems with the front brakes, but I can't tell you how the back brakes worked because I don't know. So yeah, all in all, good bike. If I had an extra 5K, or if that was something I lived in an even bigger city than, you know, outside Cincy, I would consider buying one for a primary bike, because it's a very accessible bike. It's a lot of fun. You can throw that bike through curves, no problem. I did a few curves on it, and it is an absolute treat to ride that bike. So once I got through that, demo, I came back after informing the helpful associates that Triumph had hired to look at the back brakes, because I felt pretty sure those were not there. I tried the 1200 Scrambler X, which is not to be confused with I can never freaking remember this. It's either the XC or the XE, which is the more off-road variant of the Scrambler. It's wild, because I mistook it at first for a 900 Scrambler, and I thought, wow, this has got a lot of power for a 900. Well, that's because I'm a dumbass, and it's not a 900. Okay, cool. It was actually the 1200X. That bike's a lot of fun. The same engine as my Bonnie, virtually the same. I mean, they might have it tuned a little differently. I don't know for sure, but same 1200 high torque engine, feels great. Carries its weight a little different than my Bonneville, but not that different. Not different enough where you would notice it in any kind of real way. Absolute joy to ride. I really, really liked that motorcycle. Would I get one to replace my Bonnie? No, I don't. I don't need... It feels more like a lateral move. I don't need the Scrambler aesthetic. I'm perfectly happy with my Bonneville. But the couple things I did like about it were the same things I like about my Bonnie. Is the 1200, the torque is insane on this bike, and it is an absolute arm-ripping good time to really get on this. And I think that guy just told me nice bike, which was awesome. It was pretty fun to whip around corners. I don't know as it would be... I don't know how different it is, but it's definitely a different feeling to me. And the other thing I didn't like is I like the aesthetic, the look of the high pipes on a Scrambler. I think that is really cool. In practice, nah, not for me. I put my leg down the first time, and yeah, it gets warm. While you're moving, not a problem. It's super... The heat, I didn't notice the heat at all. I thought it was just fine. While you're stopped, and if you put your right leg down for any reason and touch that pipe, you definitely notice it. It doesn't burn you. It's not anything like that, especially if you're wearing, you know, decent either jeans or like motorcycle pants or whatever. I didn't notice anything that would burn me, but I definitely noticed the heat, and it would have burned me had it, you know, were I foolish enough to be wearing shorts. So would I replace it? No. Would I use it as a second bike? Probably not. I mean, it's just, what's the point? I already have this Bonnie that does the same things. And the X of the Scrambler, the 1200X, is not off-road enough to justify getting it. If I were going to do an off-road bike, I would either A, buy some kind of dirt bike that, you know, is for that purpose, like a Honda CR300F or something, or 300L, whatever it is, or, you know, an adventure bike or something like that. I wouldn't get the non-off-road Scrambler. That doesn't make any sense. But it was a treat to ride, and I'm glad I got to ride it. All right, so number 3 rolled up, and I was worried that they weren't going to have it. It was the Triumph Trident 660. I had been looking forward to riding this motorcycle since I learned about it ages ago. Since I actually got on motorcycles, I was very excited to try this motorcycle out. I'm not really a sport bike rider, not yet anyways. I don't know as that is something I will ever get into, but I do want to try. Fucking idiot. I'm not really a sport bike rider. This is more of a naked bike, but it does have kind of a sporty position. I was worried I wasn't going to get to do it because I saw they had it on their list of bikes available, but they didn't have one out. Turns out they were just servicing something while I was on my first run. So then I saw it roll up, and I was very excited. So I jumped on the Trident, and that's a blast. Oh, little corgis. That's a blast. That triple engine is an absolute blast to ride. I say absolute a lot. Yeah, that triple cylinder is so much fun. It's peppy, without being jerky. It's like smooth, which was crazy. I was not expecting that. I really like that Trident. I am not a fan of the position of the pegs. It's odd. It's almost like it's sporty enough to be, you know, sport bike adjacent, but it's not so sporty that it's not so sporty that your legs are completely tucked up like on an actual sport bike, but it's not a naked bike like the MT-07 or the SV650 or anything like that. It's a weird in between, and I don't know if that's for me. That being said, a couple of things I liked about it. The astonishing pep out of that triple cylinder is so much fun, and with the position on it, you definitely feel more connected, and your maneuverability and control of the motorcycle. And I think this is what people that ride sport bikes talk about. You have a much more connected feel to the motorcycle than you would on something like a cruiser, in my opinion. I really liked it. It was a fun bike. A couple things I didn't like. The downside, and I think this is a me problem, is the position of sport bikes puts a lot of strain on my wrists and elbows, which are not historically healthy. If I have joint problems, it's in my elbows specifically. As I mentioned before, one of the problems I had with my Interceptor, even though it's in a relaxed and upright position, something about that position made my elbows hurt consistently. I got through a 20-minute ride on that Trident, and my wrists and elbows were definitely feeling it. And again, this is a me problem. Your mileage may vary on that, but it was not comfortable enough for me to enjoy it. In the beginning, it was fine, but like I said, by the end of the ride, I was definitely feeling the pain. I don't want to say pain. It wasn't pain. The discomfort, let's say. The discomfort of riding up forward on my elbows and wrists was there, and I just don't think that's something I'm interested in. Extra note, something I did like is the compact wheelbase. The Trident has a pretty compact wheelbase. That's something I discovered about myself, is that I actually do enjoy that. The 400 was the same way, and I didn't mention it, but I love having a compact feeling motorcycle. Back to the point. The Trident 660. Would I replace my Bonnie here with it? Absolutely not. As much fun as that motorcycle was, the T120 set a really high bar for me. I absolutely adore this bike, and I really it's gonna be really difficult to find a motorcycle as good and as all around good as this T120. So I definitely wouldn't replace it. Second bike, I think I've test driven and ridden other bikes that would be preferential to this one, or to the Trident, as far as that goes. I just don't think it's enough for me to it's just not enough for me to replace or even use as a second bike. So the last one I got on for the day was the Tiger Sport 660. Now, before I go any further, I had been watching a lot of content on the 660 because I thought that could be a potential bike for me to tour on. As I alluded to in a different video, I'm planning on a really long distance trip here in a few years, and right now I'm pretty convinced that my Bonnie here will be it, but I was looking for other options. So I was wondering, the Tiger Sport, what about it? How would that go? And I thought, let's give it a try. Out of the 4 motorcycles I rode that day, that was the biggest disappointment. And I hate saying that because I love the look of that motorcycle. It's got the same triple that's in the Trident, which I really do like, but something about the positioning and the actual riding of it was just awkward, and it just didn't work for me. I don't know why, but something about the position, and maybe it was because I just came off the Trident, I don't know. I rode 20 minutes on that motorcycle and didn't really enjoy it. The engine was perky. It moved the air off of my chest to my face. And honestly, I've gotten so used to riding without a windscreen that I would rather just not have one, if that's the case. If I can't get decent coverage so I feel like I'm in a bubble, like, I don't know, maybe I need to try a bigger adventure bike. But it just didn't do it for me, which is, like I said, it's a real shame. I really was looking forward to riding that motorcycle, and it didn't feel good at all. I think perhaps I'll try it again next time I can do a demo day, because by this time of the day I was starting to get a little tired. I'm gonna do a little turn around here, cut all this shit out. Oops, this is not an entrance. This is not an entrance. That's fine. I did not get to try. They were missing the Street Twin 900. That's one I really wanted to try, just to get the feel of it, because it is such a lower seat height and I have kind of shorter legs. So I wanted to try that. However, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I went to the whole day. It was a lot of fun. And I highly recommend it to anyone else that wants to, just get out and try some stuff and maybe expand your, get out of your comfort zone a little. Try some new stuff. I know I did.